Back to reaction. I must bring you there first, because it is the only honest gauge of where we are standing, not in our words, not in our proud affirmations, but in our actual awareness. Faith is not a doctrine you hold. Faith is the absence of your reaction to an appearance. When guilt rises up like smoke after a spark, do you see? It is not proof of a sinful self. It is proof that we took the bait. We looked at an appearance, conduct, memory, judgment, and we said, that's me, or that's him, and the hook went in. Be not afraid, the Master said. It is I, walking on the sea. Waves are appearances. Christ is identity. Every pang of guilt only records that we identified with the wave for a moment and forgot the I. Now hear this, and let it stand as law for our work. Stop punishing a person. There is no person in error. There is an appearance, a universal suggestion, tempting you to take sides, to name a culprit, to call someone sinner, including yourself. Judge not, that ye be not judged. Why? Because as long as you deal in persons, you bind yourself to the seesaw of blame and defense. Principle knows no sides, you see. Christ is the only identity when we neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance. When we refuse to make a case for or against the person, we are back on the middle path where healing is possible. Set your vow with me and make it uncompromising. Never enter the case humanly. Never permit yourself to fix appearances. Don't turn to God to change appearances. God is not a carpenter fixing chairs. God is not a power battling other powers. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and let the isness of God dissolve the mirage. The moment you reach for a human remedy, even a pious one, you tell the appearance it has reality and you tell your guilt it is justified. We are not hired by either side of the picture, not even by the side that hired us. Our allegiance is to the one, to the principle that there is only one power and one life expressing. Guilt will come whispering, you failed. You said the wrong thing. You should have known better. That is the serpent's tongue, not yourself. Get thee behind me, Satan. Who is being addressed? Not a person, but a tempter, an impersonal suggestion seeking your consent. If you do not consent, there is no hook, no wound, no bruise to lick. And if the suggestion seems stubborn, remember, this kind goeth not out, but by prayer and fasting. Not fasting from food, but fasting from mental argument, from self-accusation, from playing judge and jury inside your own breast, until a split second of hush lets Christ announce himself. All right, we stand here. Guilt is not evidence of a sinful self. It is evidence that we reacted to an appearance. Our vow holds. Never enter the case humanly. Never fix appearances. Stand with principle, not personalities. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus. Let the words mean what they say. No condemnation, because no personal self is on trial. Only Christ is your name. And as that dawns, reaction thins, the bait loses flavor, and the sea grows quiet under your feet. Be not afraid. It is I. Now to the piercing question that ends the private trial you have been holding at night. Who is it that failed? Do you see? The very grammar of that question is the serpent's hiss. It already assumes a person who could succeed or fail, a selfhood apart from God standing in the dock. What if your failure is not you at all? but a belief operating through thought, impersonal, ancient as time, parading as you or me for 5 minutes, for 5 hours, until we nod and say, yes, that's my nature. Who did sin? This man or his parents? The disciples asked. And the master answered, neither, but that the works of God should be made manifest. There is your pivot from person to principle. Neither this man nor his parents stood as cause or culprit. A universal belief stood up in their name, and Christ unmasked it. This has nothing to do with this person. Keep that sentence at your lips until it moves down into your ribs. This has nothing to do with this person. You'll find, as I have found in 100 cases, that the moment you cease blaming a person, yourself included, the air clears. Her mother wrote that she had failed her boy, failed his schooling, failed his health. She listed dates and scenes like a good prosecuting attorney. Now, I would like very much to have consoled her humanly, but that would have bound us both to the record. We do not take sides, not even the side that hires us, not even the side that bears our name. We stood with principle. Within days, the boy's circumstances shifted, not because we argued with the past, but because we refused the personhood of error and recognized Christ as the only identity present. Understand this law. Belief has no law. It has no church behind it, no statute book in heaven, no power to enforce sentence. It is suggestion, only suggestion, and it feeds on your consent. The law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus hath made me free from the law of sin and death. There is one law, one life, one identity. When you accept that, who remains to fail? I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Not I, mark it. Not a brighter, braver, stricter human eye, but no I in the courtroom at all. Only the presence that never fell and therefore cannot rise. So stop engaging the personality accuser or advocate. It is the same play. Refuse sides. Refuse the drama of guilt and defense. If you must speak within, let it be this. Father, reveal thyself as the only being here. Then be still. Don't try to fix the picture. Don't try to rescue a reputation. Don't try to squeeze a blessing from God as if God were a power warring with other powers. God isn't a power. God is. And in that isness, every impersonal belief falls without a struggle because there is nothing to sustain it. All right? Who failed? No one. A belief passed by and borrowed a name tag. We took the bait for a moment. We return the name tag and we stand where Christ alone is I. Let us look closely, quietly, at the way that borrowed name tag gets pinned on your chest. It rarely arrives with horns. It comes as a respected voice, an old tape with a collar and a clipboard, flu season, family temperament, the wages of sin, the way our people have always done it. Contagion speaks in the third person statistics, headlines, somber experts, until you nod once and it shifts to the first person. I'm catching it. Unworthiness whispers a familiar litany. Too late, too flawed, too guilty, until you repeat it as prayer. Religious penalty shakes the pages of your childhood catechism and says, you have earned this. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Is the divine question, not God. A suggestion told you, and you signed for the package. Now, what gives such nonsense its megaphone? Memory, family stories, and borrowed theology. Memory selects its worst photograph and frames it on the mantle. Do you remember what you did at 16? And then parades the frame through every room of your thought. Family stories dress up as prophecy. In our line, Men don't stay. Money doesn't last. Nerves don't hold. Theology misunderstood. Lens, gavel, and robe. Visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, as if spirit were a bookkeeper with a grudge. And guilt, wanting to be righteous, kisses the rod and says, I deserve this correction. Do you see the trap? It feels pious to agree with accusation. But the master rebuked that impulse when he said, neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents. He tore the robe off the prosecutor and revealed a principle, an appearance, not a person. Mechanically, here is how it works. An impersonal belief floats through the collective atmosphere, contagion, punishment, lack, and it hunts for consent. It cannot act. It can only argue. The argument becomes yours the instant you say, my code, my shame, my payback. That consent is the only fuse error has. Your reaction is its current. Pull the plug and the theater goes dark. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Not because you are clever with affirmations, but because there is only one power. Belief has no law. Infection has no statute to enforce, unworthiness, no court to sentence, and religious penalty, no God to deputize it. Perfect love casteth out fear, and fear, once cast out, cannot play bailiff for guilt. So, when the old tape starts, be it a headline, a grandmother's story, or a sermon half remembered, refuse its name tag before it touches you. Say within yourself, this has nothing to do with this person. This is a universal belief in contagion or unworthiness or penalty. Then do not enter the case humanly. Don't argue with the memory. Don't cross-examine the family. Don't battle the text. Be still until even the vocabulary falls away. For God isn't a rival force to error. God is. And in that isness, the mask slips, the borrowed badge clatters to the floor, and guilt, finding no identity to inhabit, departs as a shadow at noon. All right? We have the mechanics now. Guilt persists only while a belief wears your name and you consent. Withdraw consent, and you will find there was no wearer at all, only Christ, the I that never borrowed and never returned an alien name. Step one is mercy. The first mercy is to recognize and name the impersonal nature of what is knocking at your door. Say it within yourself before the story can dress itself in your clothes. This is a universal belief. Not John, not Mary, not me. You see, the naming is not a charm. It is the refusal of a forged identity card. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Is Scripture's question. And in this moment, we answer honestly, not God, only suggestion. So we decline the suggestion's name tag and return to the principle that Christ is the only identity on the field. Take the relapse. The bottle is in your hand, or the browser is open, and the old path lights up like a runway. Mid-sentence, do not finish the indictment. I always stop it there. This is a universal belief in compulsion, in habit as power, not personal depravity. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, not by wrestling the urge as a sinner against sin, but by withdrawing the only current it has your personal agreement. You will know recognition has begun its work when the heat drops 2 degrees and the drama loosens its grip. You are moving to the middle path where you neither fear, love, nor hate the appearance. You simply will not be its person. Take the harsh word. It leapt from your mouth before your better nature could catch it, and the mind turns executioner. I'm cruel, I always ruin it. No, name it. This is a universal belief in retaliation and defense, a climate of thought, not a character in you or in the one before you. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Yes, but do not make of that watch a human policeman. Make it the recognition that no law backs the impulse to strike. You will feel the furnace cool. The itch to justify or to hate yourself loses its savor. On the middle path, the tongue loses its sword because there is no one to wound and no one to defend, only Christ's identity present. Take the broken vow, prayer neglected, a promise missed, a discipline dropped. The bookkeeper within opens his ledger. Penalties due. There again, stop the arithmetic. This is a universal belief in spiritual bookkeeping, in merit and demerit as law. Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more is not a free pass for conduct. It is the exposure of a lie that condemnation has any jurisdiction over the I that is Christ. The test, your shoulders release. The rush to fix yourself subsides. You are neither rushing to atone nor to excuse. You are back in the quiet midline where recognition itself begins to heal. All right? Make a practice of this inner naming. Do it tersely, cleanly, without embroidery. This is universal belief, contagion, penalty. Lack not John, not Mary, not me. Never enter the case humanly. Refuse the personhood of the picture and watch the temperature fall. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The first truth to know is that no person is in error, and no error is in person. Recognition depersonalizes the mirage and leaves only I, Christ, as the name that abides. Now we come to the second movement. Refuse. Refuse what? Refuse to react to the appearance. Refuse to fix it. Refuse to advise it. Refuse to plead with God about it. Resist not evil, the Master said, which is not passivity, but holy refusal to enter the ring as a human contestant. Do you see that? The only fuel error has is your reaction. Take that away and the flame has nothing to eat. You will be tempted to be helpful with counsel, with a speech, with a plan. Don't enter the case humanly. Don't take sides, not for or against. Our allegiance is to principle alone, to the light that reveals Christ as the only identity present. All right, how does refusal sound in you? It is simple, quiet, and it carries no heat. Right now, I nullify any seeming effect from a universal belief. Say it without strain, without drama, and say what is to be nullified if you know it. Contagion, penalty, lack, compulsion, retaliation. Then stop. You haven't fought anyone. You haven't tried to change the picture. You have withdrawn the current. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. Holding your peace is refusal. Holding your peace is not sulking. It is the unavailability of your attention to any narrative that asks for a person to be on trial. You will be confronted by a face that wants your verdict, husband against wife, labor against capital, symptom against remedy, your yesterday against your today. Not even the side that hires you gets your loyalty. You are not interested in victory or defeat. You are interested in the revelation of spiritual good. If harmony must appear as reconciliation, let it be. If harmony must appear as going separate ways for a season, let it be. We never script the outcome. We refuse sides because principle has no opponent and needs none. Judge not that ye be not judged. For the moment you judge a person, you have entered the case humanly. And then your own mind becomes the courtroom, buzzing day and night with objections and appeals. You say, but if I don't react, won't wrong run rampant? No. Reaction is not righteousness. It is bait. The serpent begs for reaction because it confers reality. Refuse, and you have not excused conduct. You have denied error, the mask of personhood. Remember, God is not a power set against other powers. God is. And in that isness, belief has no law, no court, no enforcement. Therefore, our work is to stand where that isness can register. How? Refuse the noise. Right now, I nullify any seeming effect from a universal belief in fear and retaliation. Right now, I nullify any seeming effect from a universal belief in guilt and payback. Then stop. Let the words end when they have done their work of denial. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay, and then hold your peace. You will notice a softening, a pause, a space in which the compulsion to speak, to fix, to punish loosens. That is your signal that the fire has lost its air. Stay there. Do not return to advise. Do not rehearse speeches to win the scene. Do not plead with God to hurry. This kind goeth not out by argument, but by fasting from opinion, from sides, from the need to be the fixer. Refusal is your fast. It starves the mirage, and it prepares the instant in which the next movement, stillness, may announce itself without your help. Now we come to the doorway where even our best truth must bow out. Be still. This kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting. And I tell you, the fasting here is from statements, from rehearsed truths, from the righteous bustle of your own mind. Fast from the very impulse to work the Spirit as a tool. Sit and do not try to think your way to God, for nobody by taking thought can contact God. Let your truths stand behind you as witnesses, not as instruments. You have recognized, you have refused. Now let language retire. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Shock your inherited habit with this. God is not a power you can use. God is not mind you can think with. God is not even soul as you have conceived it. Nobody knows what God is. Be still. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Do not turn to God to remove guilt. Do not go begging for erasers and brooms in the sanctuary. Forget, for this instant, every verse you have underlined, every outline, every argument. Let I, God, be the solution. Not I and God, do you see? But I, God. How do you do this? Not by doing. Take your seat, or stand at the sink, or pause at the curb. It makes no difference to spirit. Close the case. Set down your inner speeches. If a brief word must be used, let it be a sentinel, not a hammer. Father, speak, for thy servant heareth. Then wait without strain and without timing. Don't listen with ears. Listen with your willingness to have nothing to say. Don't reach for a sensation. Don't grade your quiet. Merely be unoccupied enough that if the wind should pass through the garden of your awareness, you would feel it. There will come, sometimes suddenly, sometimes after a few false starts, a click, no fireworks, usually no voice, simply a release, as if a knot in the invisible has been untied. You will know it not by thought, but by the cessation of the need to think. Words end. The courtroom adjourns. Be still and know that I am God. The knowing is not your intellect gathering facts. It is God's own isness registering as the only fact here. In that split second, healing has already begun, because the only actor present is I, God, and the suggestion called guilt finds no stage, no lighting, no audience. Do not rush to use the silence as leverage on the picture. Stay uncommitted to outcomes. Stay uncommitted to making something happen. Let God have its perfect work. If thought resumes, fine. If tears come, fine. If nothing seems to move, fine. The gift is the hush itself, the vacancy of you as fixer. And as you rise, do not take back the case. Walk out quietly, not triumphant, not solemn, simply free of the compulsion to manage. That is the sign that contact, however brief, has touched down. The kingdom of God is within you, and it does not arrive with your effort. It announces itself when effort abdicates. All right? We have come to the end of words. Let's have the silence. All right. Let us make it plain and doable, because principle must be lived in the street as well as in the silence. 3 minutes, no more. Many times a day will do more to stabilize non-reaction than a single long wrestling match with your thoughts. Enter into thy closet, the master said. And I tell you that closet can be the kitchen, the stairwell, the parked car. We are not timing God. We are training willingness. Minute 1. Recognize. As soon as the heat rises, guilt, blame, fear, say within, quietly and without embroidery. This is a universal belief, not a person. Name it if you see it: contagion, penalty, lack, compulsion. Then breathe not as a ceremony, but as a sign that you are not on trial. Let the shoulders drop. Do you feel the temperature fall a degree? That is all we ask in the first minute. Soften the reaction by removing the person from the picture. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Not God-only suggestion. So we hand back the name tag and stand on the middle path where we neither fear, love, nor hate the appearance, no drama, no speeches, just that clean recognition. This is not John, not Mary, not me. Minute 2, refuse. Do not enter the case humanly, no verdicts, no advice, no designing outcomes. If words are useful, let them be few and exact. Right now, I nullify any seeming effect from a universal belief in guilt and payback. Right now, I nullify any seeming effect from a universal belief in fear and retaliation. Then stop. Don't peek to see if it worked. Don't bargain with results. Not even the side that hired you receives your allegiance. Judge not, that ye be not judged. Because the instant you judge a person, you step back into the courtroom, and the buzzing begins. Refusal is holding your peace, not sulking, not superiority, just unavailability to the narrative that demands a culprit. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. Hold it now. Minute 3. Be still. Let language retire. Forget even your fine denials. Nobody, by taking thought, can contact God. Sit or stand at the sink and be unscheduled enough for a whisper to land. No agenda. No use of silence as a lever on the picture. Be still and know that I am God. If nothing seems to happen good, let that be all right. If thoughts return, let them pass without offering them a chair. This is your fasting, fasting from the impulse to manage, to time, to measure. This kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting, and our fast is from reaction itself. You see, 3 honest minutes, many times, will school the heart out of reflex and into recognition. It is not the length of your argument, but the brevity of your availability to spirit that matures you. Let God have its perfect work. Rise without taking the case back. Walk out neither proud nor penitent, simply free. Do it again at noon and again at dusk. Little doors opening often admit more light than a gate forced once with noise. Now let us put this into casework, because all our fine practice must find its feet in kitchens and boardrooms and back porches. Marriage first, since that is where the heart thinks it has the best case. Two people sit before you, or one comes with a story full of dates and wounds. Do not take sides, not even the side that hires you. Do not rush to reconcile. Do not rush to separate. Our interest is not in soldering appearances together or prying them apart. Our interest is to bring forth spiritual activity. Charity suffereth long and is kind, thinketh no evil. And that kindness is not sentimentality. It is the refusal to make a hero or a villain. In Los Angeles, I sat with a wife who wanted a miracle of union by Thursday. We recognize the universal belief, retaliation, fear, the bookkeeping of old hurts. We refused to enter the case humanly. We were still. Weeks later, harmony appeared first, as a quiet separation without malice, without trophies of rightness, without a campaign. Months after that, unexpectedly, a new companionship dawned between them, not the old bargain patched up, but a different life entirely. If harmony can appear only through separation for a season, let's have it. Judge not, that ye be not judged. Let patience have her perfect work, and do not script the form in which love, real love, which never faileth, chooses to show itself. Now, money, and with it the old contest between capital and labor. An employer writes, stand with us so the union fails. A worker writes, stand with us so management yields. We will not. We don't stand with either side. We stand with principle. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Supply is not a pile of coins on one desk. It is the activity of God as fairness, as safety, as right measure. In San Francisco, I was hired, so they thought to pray down a strike. We recognized the universal belief in scarcity and in power over. We refused sides. We were still. The outcome, not a win for either faction, but a third thing. Schedules altered in a way no negotiator had proposed. A profit-sharing line item that satisfied neither appetite and yet quieted both. And, yes, a few resignations that made room for new order. If the one who engaged you wants to lose, that's his business. Our business is that spiritual good appear, and it will in forms we did not script. Finally, mistakes the liar, the relapser, the one who breaks every vow by Tuesday. Do not call them by those names. Those are the name tags of universal belief in compulsion and self-justification. This has nothing to do with this person. This is a universal belief seeking consent. A just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. In Maui, a young man came soaked in shame, saying, I am a liar. We recognize the belief. We refuse to try to clean him up with rules. We were still. In days, truth-telling began to appear, not by force, not by shaming, but as a quiet inability to rehearse the old story. He made amends. We are led, not to earn innocence, but because innocence was discovered. Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. Was not a lecture. It was identity revealed and conduct followed. All right. Marriage, money, mistakes, do not take sides. Recognize, refuse, be still. When we stand in the middle, unhired by the picture, spiritual good comes forth as it will. reconciliation or separation, new terms or new paths, confession or simple cessation. Let God have its perfect work. And watch the forms, unscripted, unsweated, arrive like rain on fields we never plowed. Now hear scripture not as a courtroom transcript, but as revelation of identity. Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. That is not leniency. That is the Christ refusing to find a sinner to condemn. He would not enter the case humanly. He would not take the accuser's side or the woman's defense. He stooped and wrote on the ground. He let the heat burn itself out without his breath to feed it. He that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone, not to shame a crowd, but to expose the impersonal belief and penalty that had borrowed many hands. When it had no more hands, it had no more stones. Then the word came, simple, unheeded. Neither do I condemn thee. Do you see? He didn't remodel conduct. He revealed identity. When identity is revealed, conduct follows. Go and sin no more is not a threat. It is the natural aftermath of unmasking a belief that had worn her name tag for an hour. Now link that with the word spoken over waves and wind. Be not afraid. It is I. The storm did not receive a lecture. The disciples did not receive a plan. They received I. Be not afraid. Why? Because identity himself is here as the only presence and the only power, which is to say, no opposing power at all. Fear is reaction to an appearance. I dissolves the appearance without contest. When guilt rises like a squall and shouts your old names, do not argue boat versus wind. Do not pump faster. Here it is I. Not your brave human I. Not a stiff upper lip, but I. Christ, the only identity, announcing itself where your name tag was quivering. God is not a power against the sea. God is. And in that isness, the waves forget their occupation. Then hear the Master unburden your piety. The Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. If you miss the meeting or fail the fast, if the tithe ledger hisses at you, recognize the universal belief in religious bookkeeping and refuse it. Consecration is not geography or calendar. The hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. God is a spirit. Neither in this mountain nor in Jerusalem, neither Sunday nor sunrise, but in the inner closet, where 3 honest minutes of recognize, refuse, be still are Sabbath enough for God to register his I. Release the guilt that bows to forms while missing presence. The form is servant. The presence is Lord. All right. Do you see how scripture, read as principle, removes the defendant's chair from the room? It does not excuse conduct. It reveals no culprit to excuse. Neither do I condemn thee arises in you when you will not concede a sinner to be condemned. Be not afraid. It is I steels you to non-reaction, because I, not you, stands in the boat. Man was not made for the Sabbath. Frees you from holy busyness into holy hush. Then, without your managing, behavior finds its order. Words quiet themselves, and the path clears of stones that no hand now wishes to throw. Let God have its perfect work, and let Scripture be what it is, the voice that turns us from persons on trial to Christ as the only identity here. Now, because you are honest hearts, you ask the right hard question. Does neither do I condemn thee open the door to license? No. Non-condemnation is not permissiveness. It is fidelity to one identity, Do you see that? We are not asserting that wrong is right. We are refusing to animate an impersonal belief by fastening it to a name. Resist not evil is not a wink at wrongdoing. It is the refusal to grant evil any power by entering the ring with it. Non-reaction is allegiance to the only power, not a pass for behavior. When the Master said, "Go and sin no more," he did not arm a sinner with indulgence. He unveiled I as her identity, and behavior fell in line with being. We never make peace with error. We simply refuse to make a person its carrier. That is a different universe from excusing conduct, and it bears different fruit. Then comes the next rightful protest. What about victims? Are we to stand by, serene, while harm continues? No. Compassion without sides is not indifference. It is the greatest protector on earth. The wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. So we do not enter the case humanly with rage or partisanship. Yet we also never leave a lamb without care. Holding to principle does not preclude forms of safety. It births them. When we refuse hatred and are still, spiritual justice appears as it must, sometimes as a door closing, a distance established, a boundary honored, a rescue immediate. Sometimes it takes the shape of authorities alerted or patterns halted, not vindictively, not to satisfy a private anger, but as order reasserting itself. Vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. And when vengeance belongs to God, it does not degrade into retaliation. It ripens as right action, as protection, as a way made through the sea. If harmony can only come by separation for a season, let's have it. But let it come without the poison of hatred. Let it come as obedience to the one who restoreth my soul, and preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Until we discover there were no enemies, only appearances losing their masks. And now a humbler fear, the dry silence. You sit, you keep the 3 minutes, and nothing seems to happen. Good. Don't look at your demonstration day by day. Let maturity bring to light. The seed beneath soil offers no spectacle, yet the root is already answering, "Son, it has not seen." Saul of Tarsus was 9 years in the reshaping before he went out. You think your 2 weeks of faithful quiet should perform fireworks? No. This kind goeth not out, but by prayer and fasting. And our fasting is from outcomes, from measuring, from grading the hush. Return to the practice. Recognize cleanly. Refuse without heat. Be still beyond concepts. God is not a power you can switch on. God is. And in that isness, the click may arrive unannounced at noon or 3 nights hence, or while washing a cup, and you will know it because the urge to manage is absent, and peace, small and sovereign, is present. So, the middle path is clear. Neither license nor legalism, neither apathy nor aggression. We never take sides. We take principle. We never excuse. We unmask. We never time God. We let God have its perfect work. Hold to the one power. Practice your recognize, refuse, be still, and watch as justice without venom, protection without panic, and amendment without shame come forward unbidden, in forms you did not script and could not have arranged. Now we must speak of time, not clock time, not calendar time, but the ripening that comes when we stop tugging at the branch. Fruit does not sweeten by our hands. It sweetens by sun we do not manage and roots we do not inspect. Let patience have her perfect work, the apostle counsels. And patience is not waiting for a result with your foot tapping. Patience is resting in principle without rehearsing outcomes. Saul of Tarsus did not leap from blindness into apostleship in a weekend. Years of quiet recasting shaped a vessel for the message. Do you see that? When identity is being turned from personhood to Christ awareness, the clay must sit in stillness while the potter does what no argument can do. All right? How does this look in your practice? First, outcome detachment. Real, not pretend. If the one who engaged you wants to lose, that is their business. You stay with principle. In San Francisco, they hired me to hold management's side. And from the first day, the appearances suggested we were losing ground. Contracts slipping, tempers flaring, headlines unkind. We did not change stance. We did not switch to a human plan. Recognize, refuse, be still. Weeks later, what looked like loss matured into a different order. New structures none of us had proposed, forms that neither camp could have manufactured, and a good that satisfied no appetite, yet fed all. If you measure midway, you will call ripening decay. Don't look at your demonstration day by day. Let maturity bring to light. Now for the signs of growth, and I want you to hear them so you do not falsify your report. Growth is not that storms never come. Growth is that the center does not scatter. You recover your poise sooner. The gap between stimulus and reaction widens until there is no reaction at all. You stop keeping a morality ledger on yourself. The inner bookkeeper grows drowsy and forgets his ink. You notice you don't talk as much about your practice. You simply practice. The mouth stops 2 words earlier. The hand that reached for the phone pauses and falls open. The shoulders release before any solution appears. You forget to time God. You forget to watch the pot. First the blade, then the ear. After that, the full corn in the ear. The kingdom's agriculture is quiet. The seed should spring and grow up. He knoweth not how. And you find, without fanfare, that when an accusation rings at midnight, you do not lunge. You hear, scarcely as a sentence, "Be not afraid, it is I." And the body remains unstartled. That is maturation. Do not despise small easings. These are the heralds. A quicker return to center is grace at work. Less self-tracking is grace at work. A hush available on demand, or rather, a hush that finds you available is grace at work. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall run and not be weary. Waiting is not idleness. It is refusal to seize the wheel. Let God have its perfect work. Keep to the simple drill. Keep to non-reaction. Keep to silence beyond concepts. And as surely as autumn follows summer, identity will stand forth as I, Christ, living your life, while the old personhood fades like mist without a quarrel. Now, what is life after guilt? It is not a parade of flawless hours. It is an atmosphere that no longer accuses. The inner courtroom shuts its doors for lack of business. You rise, you take coffee, you hear a tone and a voice that once hooked you, and nothing in you lunges to answer it. Decisions begin to come from a hush you did not manufacture. You find yourself pausing at the threshold of speech, and in that half-breath the words, "Be not afraid, it is I," have already crossed the room first. The day has fewer arguments because the plaintiff and the defendant did not show up. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, not in cleverness, not in speed. You see, the texture is ordinary and clean, one act at a time, chosen from poise, not from panic. Discipline does not vanish. It sweetens. In micro moments, the drill returns without fanfare. A text pings that would once set you burning. You recognize this is a universal belief in fear or payback. You refuse no verdict, no side-taking, no inward speech to win the moment. You are still 3 heartbeats of unoccupied attention. Then you answer, or you don't. And either way, the answer comes out of the middle and does not bruise. At a checkout line, you feel impatience rise, recognize, refuse. Be still not as ritual, but as reflex. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. The fewer the words, the kinder the day. And when an old story tries to reattach, I failed again. I am the kind who catch it at the door, hand back the name tag, and hold your peace. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. Hear this now and let it settle. Innocence is discovered, not earned. You will never scrub a person clean enough to be worthy. You will only wake to I, Christ, as the life here. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Stop punishing a person. There is no person in error who told thee that thou wast naked, not God-only suggestion. Neither do I condemn thee, is not a soft judge. It is identity speaking, leaving no culprit to sentence. When you will not concede a sinner, conduct finds its order without whips or bribes. Christ, not a better personal self, lives your life. And as this dawns, the old appetite to tally sins and victories loses its ink. So go on now, and do not time God. Walk the street and keep to the middle, neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance. Let patience have her perfect work. Practice briefly and often. Recognize, refuse, be still. If protection is needed, it will appear. If speech is required, it will be given. If silence is best, it will hold you. God is not a power to use, but is, and in that isness your path is kept. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I bless you not with outcomes, but with the hush in which outcomes do not rule. The kingdom is within you, and it moves without your management. Be not afraid, it is I. Go and live from that I, and watch innocence not earned but revealed walk you home